Got some mosquitoes. Oh shit. A lot of bugs, man. I got a protective lens for this, but it won't fit on this mount with it on, so this is just the lens that came with it. So a little rock hits it or something. Man, my windscreen is like hammered. Yeah, you know, I don't ride this. It's been a while since I rode this bike. I don't ride it that often, but every time I do, I go, wow, man, this is a fun bike to ride. Why don't I ride it more often? I want something I can travel down the freeways and the interstates and highways at high speed comfortably all day long at like 80 to 90 miles an hour. My Voyager, it can travel pretty good, pretty fast, pretty comfortable, but it's an old bike. I don't know how far I trust it to go. I don't know if I trust it to go to Colorado and back, but it'd probably make it. If not, I could take a bus back, I guess. I don't know if it'd be worth fixing. Yeah, I was watching this one video where this guy was on a bike and he was in his own lane and he came around a corner, or a car came around a corner and came over in his lane. Damn near hit him. Had a woman on the back. You know, I guess you kind of got to watch out for that too, huh? Driver's gawking off looking at the scenery or something. Runs so smooth and it just wants to get up and go. Alright, you gonna pass through? You gonna pass? You gonna pass? Yes, you're gonna pass. I think I passed them several times now, haven't I? Passing lane right here. Susan Creek. Guess I should get in the slow lane, huh? Well, I'm only going 70 now. Still hear a lot of wind noise. They built a new footbridge up here. It used to be, I think it used to be a car bridge a long time ago. and the pillars, the cement pillars, were still in the river. They were there for years. I never remember seeing a car bridge, so it was a long time ago. And then they built this footbridge. I haven't walked across it yet, but it already had the pillars there, and I think it still cost $1 million to build it. So this bike will do about 150. Probably get up to about 130 pretty fast, and then I don't know, I might get up to 150 pretty fast. That's fast enough. I think 120 is as fast as I've had it. Today might have been the record, I don't know. Another thing that concerns me a little bit is I was reading on this bike, and they had a recall on the rear shock because it was braking and causing people to wreck. And I have no way to know if this was replaced, the shock was replaced. I hope it was. I don't know if Yamaha keeps records as far back. I mean, this is an old bike. I could try to find out, I guess. 20 years old. This bike is 20 years old. Pretty old for a bike. There's so many bikes out there that are just sitting in garages or aren't getting ridden. A lot of pretty good deals out there. The bad part is a lot of those old bikes, they haven't been ridden. You know, the gas gets gunky, the carburetors get bad, the seals get hard. It's a lot better if at least they're rode at least once a year, a couple times a year. So if you got an old bike and you're not riding it much, try to at least start it and run it a little bit. Once a year or something, a couple times a year. Keep some fresh gas in it. Put some sea foam in the gas. Oregon's got ethanol in their gas. That stuff is really not good for long-term storage. It seems to break down and separate. And a lot of gas treatments have alcohol in them too. So I was reading where you really got to watch what kind of you know, if you're going to put some kind of additive. Stable's pretty good to put in there, and they make it for ethanol too. But the best bet is to just run some ethanol, non-ethanol, through it, and store it with non-ethanol. Put some sea foam in there or some stable, and start it up every 3 or 4 months. That's the difference between having a bike that'll run or having a bike that's going to take a whole lot of money to get it going again. But I bet it's been over a month since I rode this bike. I got the itch today. You know, I think I don't ride this bike, I don't redline it, I don't run it wide open very much. I mean, I have, usually when I'm riding with somebody else, I tend to ride faster and harder than when I'm by myself. And that's not always a good thing. But most of the time I ride this thing down in the lower revs. I don't dog it out, you know, it's not good to lug a motor. But I don't redline it, and I don't think I ever turn it full throttle. Really haven't needed to unless I was racing or something, racing somebody. But being as I don't do that, I think the motor will last longer. It's just like a gun. What wears out a gun is not the bullet, but the heat and the pressure. Believe it or not, it's the heat and the pressure that wears a gun out. And I think the heat and probably the compression and stuff is what wears out a bike. Keep good oil in it. That's one thing I run good oil, synthetic oil. That's Swiftwater. We're back at Swiftwater where we started. Oh, there's that place I was going to stop. There's a bike. That's a Honda. Should go check it out. I want to stop for a second anyway. I'm curious if it's a 700 or a 750. Because I talked to a guy today, or yesterday, yeah, it was today, I think. And he had a Honda 84. And he said that Reagan put a, what do you call it, a tariff, or, you know, where they charge taxes for. That's probably a 700 too. I've seen that bike before. Parked by Albertsons, as a matter of fact. Pretty sure that's the same bike. Wonder where the dude's at. Probably right over the corner.